Alexis Nunes alongside Laurence Edmondson. A bit of breaking news, Laurence, in the Formula One world that's kind of shaken things up a little bit. As of the end of next year, that's 2021, Honda will be kissing Formula One goodbye, Laurence. So a lot of questions surrounding this one, but let's just start with the extra details that probably prompted them to make this decision.
So they say this isn't a money issue. This isn't related to COVID. This isn't down to anything like that. It's actually about their long-term plan to become a carbon neutral company by 2050 and their plan by 2030 to have 2/3 of their automotive products as electric vehicles. Now, Formula One has hybrid engines, and while Honda have a huge amount of hybrid engines in their current selection of cars, what they're looking to do long-term is move that towards electrification, and they're a little bit behind on that compared to some of their competitors. So what they're looking to do is move the R&D resource they had in the Formula One project towards zero emissions projects, be that electrification, hydrogen, hydrogen fuel cells, which are actually quite advanced on already. And so it's just a big shift from the very top to move Honda towards basically a different long-term goal. And Formula One isn't part of that. Now that raises some big questions. There's the obvious ones about Red Bull, but also about Formula One. How much longer will Formula One be relevant to other manufacturers, and are we going to see, or we've already seen a lot of them go to Formula E, but are we going to see more and more start to question whether Formula One's a good long-term prospect and whether it really sends out the right message and whether it allows them to put resources in the right fields to achieve their long-term goals?
So see, a lot of questions with the decision, but I suppose the obvious one too that everyone's going to want to know immediately is what does this mean for Red Bull and AlphaTauri as well? We remember how awkward the altercations were between Cyril and Christian Horner, but is he going to have to go call his friends at Renault once again come next season, or what do you expect to happen?
It seems that way because the options available now are Mercedes, Ferrari and Renault, but Mercedes isn't really an option because not only did talks between Red Bull and Mercedes fall through back in 2015 when they were hoping to line something up for 2016, but Mercedes ultimately decided it wasn't going to work for them. There was a lot of confusion around that, but they ultimately decided that they didn't think it was a good idea to give their very good engines to a competitor. So that didn't go through. So there's a bit of history there, which means it's not going to happen. Probably above all else, Mercedes are going to point to the fact that they're already supplying Aston Martin from next year, which is Racing Point this year, Williams and McLaren as well from next year. So their kind of order book is full. There's no real space for Red Bull to move in there. So then that leaves Renault and Ferrari. Now, funnily enough, if you look at the competitiveness of those two engines this year, the Ferrari is way behind the Renault. So the Renault is a more attractive proposition based on pure performance. But also Ferrari have Alfa Romeo and Haas as customers. And assuming that goes forward, that doesn't leave a huge amount of space in their order book either. So you're left with Renault. Now, we know about the Red Bull Renault history. Anyone who's watched Drive to Survive, that first series, those awkward exchanges between Christian Horner and Cyril Abiteboul will know all about how tense that situation is. But Renault don't have any customers from next year onwards. They lose McLaren at the end of this year, so no one from next year onwards, which makes them the obvious candidate. What's more, if Red Bull can't do a deal with either Mercedes or Ferrari by themselves, Formula One's regulations means that no team is allowed to be left without an engine. And so they automatically go to the engine supplier that's supplying the least amount of teams, that being Renault. So they, even if they don't want to come together, they could be forced together. And at the moment, that seems like the most logical way things are going to go. But you never know. Formula One's a funny old thing, and sometimes things can switch around. But the only other thing is that Red Bull need to make a decision soon. New regulations coming in 2022. Right now, a lot of the teams are focusing on things like the gearbox for 2022. You know, the development has already started, and that, of course, has to mate with the engine. So there's lots of questions already, and a lot of work that Red Bull may have done is now kind of slightly up in the air. So the team that's closest to Mercedes at the moment, the team that really looks like it may be able to challenge Mercedes long term, is facing all sorts of questions now that Honda are leaving.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.